Oh, strong arms. Inside this box is the successor to perhaps one of the most popular gaming monitors of all time, the Predator X34, which originally debuted in 2015. Then in 2017, there was a kind of redux that gave it a higher refresh rate and some other qualities, but until now, it's never been its final form. This is its final form, finally, we think. I don't know. There's no camera on the top, so I'll just tell you. It's got a bunch of stuff in it. This is the USB Type B for the internal hub, which I assume is on the back. This is a DisplayPort cable, and this is an HDMI cable. Hello, who are you? Instruction stuff, power adapter, external to the monitor. It's not huge, but it's not nothing. And one more cable, the power cable. Am I supposed to? It's just in there. I'll show you a magic trick. Now, if you're really anal about keeping your equipment looking pristine for years to come, you can leave all this stuff on. I think that's what Andy does.
You're not feeling that.
That's a price I'm willing to pay.
No!
But I personally like to use my monitor with this off, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Look at this. It comes fully assembled. You don't even need to clip the stand to it. And because this has elevation adjustment, they actually included this Velcro just to keep it from bouncing around in there. Oh yeah, look at the styling now. Let me get this unwrapped. This is like that scene in She's All That where she comes down the stairs. Y'all remember Freddie Prinze Jr.? He hacky sacks in that movie? Man, what a classic. Oh, those are actually sharp. Okay, check this out. The original X34 was glossy plastic, which was brutal. This is kind of, again, striking a balance between gamery and a bit executive. It's got this more matte, textured plastic, but it does have these gamer lines. Then it's got this cool back design that reminds me of like a xenomorph from Aliens or something. And the familiar kind of disc-like pivoting, swiveling, I don't know, neck column down here. Have I peeled all the peels?
You have to.
Andy, you have to peel the peels. The chin bar is a lot smaller than it used to be too. So the bezels are more consistent all the way around, thinner. You got the characteristic and pointy legs, maintaining the design language from the whole series. Man, those are actually pointy. You could pop a balloon on that. So watch out. Checking out the ergonomics, this is as high as it goes, that's as low as it goes, and quite a lot of swivel. And then you got your classic tilt. It almost looks like it tilts so much that it hits itself. Look at that. See, like that versus if it's up here, it goes farther. For my next trick, I will require an assistant. You always choose the pretty one. Oh, an accessory stayed in the box. You baited me. It was like this. It was like this. There it is. Checking out the I/O, we've got two HDMI 2.0, not 2.1 ports. We've got two DisplayPort 1.4 ports, and then a USB-C that supports 85 watts of power delivery, which is enough to power a like 16-inch MacBook Pro. And then the uplink for the USB-B cable that we looked at earlier, which will power your USB Type A ports. There's two there, and an audio port. And there's also two more USB-A ports on the side. Awesome. Shall we plug it in? Right after this message from our sponsor, PIA. Private Internet Access VPN helps you access services and websites as if you're in a different country. It encrypts all your internet traffic and uses a safe, protected IP. You can connect up to 10 devices at once, including clients for Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and Linux. You can get a 1-year plan for $39.95 at the link below. What a deal! All right, let's finally turn it on. An improvement from the original X34 is that this has one of those little nipple toggles for the OSD. They actually did have this on the refresh version, which was the X34P, but on the original X34, it's just 5 buttons, which sucked. And that is the preferred tactile controller of choice. I could do this all day. All right, turn it on, power button. Hello? Oh, it's working. Okay, so refresh rate. Each of the X34 iterations have advertised a refresh rate that was actually only achievable by overclocking. This one, I don't know what the native refresh rate is, but they are advertising that's up to 180. So I want to check out what it's running at now. That should tell me what you're gonna get at least. Okay, it's saying 143.855. You're gonna get 144 hertz no matter what. Then the fact that they put 180 on the box, it really should get to 180. So I'm gonna overclock it now and see that it does that. Now keep in mind guys, this is an unboxing, not a review, so I'm not really gonna evaluate its performance through motion blur and stuff like that. I just wanna make sure it does the things that it says it's gonna do. Oh, 180 is available on my drop-down list right there. Syncing, 180 FPS. Awesome. Pretty clear, and I'm not seeing any overdrive artifacts like coronas or inverse ghosting. Overdrive, yeah, here we go. Overdrive normal. Let's check out extreme. Yeah, I can see some smearing. The overdrive isn't brutal though. So this is overdrive off, so this is the smeariest it should look. I'm not seeing a huge difference between these, so that's kind of a good thing. Because sometimes the most aggressive overdrive mode is just like unusable. It's making doubles of characters in game just when you're moving the mouse as you're panning around in your shooter game. But I will say that this is using a new generation fast IPS, and they're advertising this as 0.5 millisecond gray to gray pixel response time, which is huge. When the first one came out back in 2015, it was probably advertising 5 milliseconds, maybe 3. Now, grain of salt, pixel response times, G2G numbers are kind of just like made up, but 0.5 is a huge kind of bold spec to put on an IPS monitor. The curve of this monitor is 1900R. That's actually more aggressive than the original X34 had, but it's the same curve as the X34P. And it's a pretty gentle curve. They say in their marketing materials that this will keep every edge of the screen the same distance from your eye, but doesn't that just change if I move my head closer? Because now this is very close and this is far. That's kind of stupid. What is that? Stupid. All right, now I'm on YouTube and I'm gonna check out the second biggest change since the first X34, which is the HDR-ness. Other than having a faster panel for shooter games, the biggest change in the industry since 2015 has been wide color gamut and HDR, full array local backlight performance. And this has a display HDR certification of 400. Now, of course, that is the lowest tier, but this monitor actually does claim to go up to 550 nits, not just 400 nits. That said, there actually is a VESA Display HDR 500 certification, and they didn't get that. Does that mean that this monitor is incapable of doing a full screen flash at 550 nits for 2 full seconds? No, not necessarily. What it could mean is that this monitor just doesn't have full array local dimming, or any local dimming, which is a prerequisite for all levels of display HDR above 400. But because it doesn't have full array local dimming, we're not getting a bunch of crazy halos that move around as the backlight lights up and darkens while this thing moves. Another thing the X34 was great for was accurate colors out of the box. So this is claiming 98% coverage of DCI-P3 with delta E's less than 2 out of the box, which of course is gonna be good for color critical work and professionals, because less than 2 is less than the human eye can discern anyway. I mean, it's not an OLED, but it doesn't look like super saturated and unreal, which is good. Another thing that's changed since before, G-Sync. VESA has integrated adaptive sync into the HDMI standard, so now this puppy is just G-Sync compatible with a capital C. Another cool thing are these canned modes that they have for different picture settings, which out of the box they say they're action, racing, and sports settings for different games. But these are actually all customizable so that you can make your own user settings with different blue light modes and overdrive settings depending on your use case. Wow, listen to those 2 7-watt speakers. I don't think they've really improved in 6 years. This is the Linus Tech Tips audio test. If you can withstand Linus's voice for more than 10 seconds, the speakers are good.
WXZ.
The last thing I'll say about this monitor, and maybe the most interesting thing to me, is that when the first one launched all those years ago, it launched with an MSRP of $1,300 US. But this one's launching with an MSRP of $900. 400 bucks cheaper, even though it's better by basically every dimension. Does that mean that the pace of innovation in monitors has slowed way down, or that costs have just plummeted and you can get so much more for so much less? I don't know, maybe a bit of both. I would not really hesitate to pay $899 for this, given its amazing stylings and color accuracy. Not the greatest for HDR, but if I'm a gamer who's had an X34 for a long time, I can get behind upgrading to this. So thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, why don't you also check out our Samsung Odyssey G7 or G5? G7 is what we actually ended up covered. Pretty similar product to this, but 240 hertz and a lot more money.